Hey everyone, I'm Brad, a performance coach, entrepreneur, and someone obsessed with helping people unlock their full potential physically, mentally, and emotionally.
And I'm Raquel, a yoga and fitness instructor, passionate about mindfulness, healing, movement, and helping people reconnect with themselves in a healthier way.
Welcome to Your Ultimate Comeback, the show where we explore what it really takes to transform your body, your mindset, and your life.
From health and fitness to resilience, relationships, and personal growth, we bring you real conversations with people who faced challenges, reinvented themselves, and found a way to come back stronger.
Whether you're rebuilding physically, mentally, emotionally, or professionally,
this podcast is here to give you the tools, perspective, and inspiration to take the next step forward.
Because your setback
doesn't have to be your ending. This is your ultimate comeback.
Hello, welcome to episode 130 of Your Ultimate Comeback. It's just me, your host, Brad, today. Raquel is out sick, so she didn't want to show off her man voice, so she decided to pass on today. So what I thought I wanted to talk about today, I've created this really cool kind of playbook for people that are using GLPs or interested in using GLPs. And it goes over all the things that need to be in place foundationally for GLPs to work really well. And so what I want to do is just kind of go over the playbook that we created and give you access to it. So if you're on a GLP or you're thinking about going on a GLP, this playbook is for you. It answers all the questions that are out there around what else do I do when I'm on a GLP? Because we hear all the things, right? Eat more protein, lift weights. There's a number of things we can do, and I just want to go through what we feel is the most important things to have in place that we have seen work really well for people on GLPs. So if you're on a GLP right now, we're about to start one, there's a question sitting in the back of your head that you can't quite put down. It's not how much will I lose, it's what happens when I stop. And I think that's the right question to be asking, but almost no one is answering it honestly. You get put on these GLPs, you get titrated up. There's not a lot of conversation early on about how to come off of these things successfully. And so, things we see, the scale is finally moving and there's a relief to that, where there's excitement to that, to see the weight finally moving, because a lot of people that use a GLP, especially that we work with, they're just stuck. They're working out, they're eating well, but it's not working, and they get on a GLP and bang, it starts to work. But there's always the question that comes up, like, how am I going to come off this? Am I going to be on this for the rest of my life? And so we want to address that. And people have seen it. You should, right? Somebody goes on it, they drop 30, 40 pounds, they come off and they gain all the weight back, and sometimes even more. Well, why does that happen? We want to address that. And then you see that there's some people that are so scared to come off it, they've been on it for so long now that they look smaller, but they're soft, they're tired, they're weak. They're more skinny fat because they didn't apply the foundations correctly, and majority of what they lost was muscle. They're afraid to come off because they have no strategy to come off, and they know that other people have done it, the weight comes back on. But if we do this correctly, we can address all that and help all that. There's 10 coaches, 10 doctors, 10 influences, 10 opinions. You're probably more confused than when you started if you're on one now because of how much information is out there. Now that confusion is not your fault. The GLP-1 conversation is a mess. Half it's fear-mongering, half it's hype, and almost none of it tells you what to actually do on a Tuesday. So this playbook is for you if you're on one or if you're looking to get on one. So I'm going to walk you through the guide that we wrote. It's the boring fundamentals that protect the muscle, your energy, and your future weight while you're on, and then the off-ramp that keeps the results after you stop. And I think this might be the hardest part about this side of GLPs is it's kind of boring and it's stuff you got to do every day. It's not super sexy, but I've always heard a quote that I've always loved. It's not the things you do every once in a while that make the difference. It's the things you do consistently every day over time that has the biggest impact on how your body looks, on how you feel, your health, all those things. So I want to kind of go over the day-to-day stuff, okay? So this playbook is the exact playbook I would actually hand a client on day one. If it's a one-on-one client of mine that wants to go on a GLP, that's why we made it, so that we have a resource to give to people. Great, we're fully supportive of it. I love these things. I've seen them change lives. Here's the playbook we're going to implement along with your GLP to get the most of it. And it works whether you're doing semaglutide, tirzepatide, retatrutide. It doesn't matter. The rules still say the same. And I just want to know, there's no fluff. There's no 27 supplement stack. There's no biohacking nonsense. We're going to go over 4 pillars that are musts and an exit plan. That's the whole thing. Again, not super exciting, but very effective. So I just want to be clear. This is a coaching guide. It's training, nutrition, supplements, lifestyle. It is not medical advice. I'm a coach, not a clinician. Nothing here replaces your prescribing doctor. If something feels wrong, call them, not me. Don't go look on the internet. Call your prescribing doctor if you're having any issues with it. So who this is for? Someone who's about to start and want to set up right from day one. If you're someone that's already on a GLP-1 and you want to make sure you're not wrecking your muscle and energy. Or 3, you're someone getting close to coming off and you want a real exit plan, not a cliff. So fewer levers for years beat fancy programming. Every recommendation has a reason, and you need an exit plan from day one. I don't ever put a client on a peptide protocol without one, and you shouldn't be on a GLP without one either. So these things are really nice tools to help create change, but you got to know how to get on them and come off of them for the most success. So let's go over, and by the way, this whole thing is written down. I'm going to give it to Caesar to put in the show notes. So if you want to download the guide and have access to you can find it right in the show notes of this show. It's free, and the link, again, is in the show notes, okay? I'll point you back to it a couple times to remind you it's there, but you can grab it and follow along if you want. So let's go over pillar 1. I call this pre-flight. Labs and baselines. I don't like to program for a client without labs or an intake form. Now, I don't think you should run on a GLP-1 without one either. You got to kind of have an understanding of where you're at. One, make sure that it's a safe call to be on it. There are certain things that doctors can find in your labs that say this isn't a safe one for you. So I think that's pretty important. And then 2, you want to be able to track what's changing. So some of these GLPs have impact on your blood sugar. Some have impact on liver health, like different aspects of your health. And you want to be able to run your labs and then run them again at 3 months, at 6 months to make sure that you're improving. And if something starts to go wrong, like energy crashes, things like that, you want to be able to reference back and have your labs done to see maybe my thyroid changed. Maybe I have some nutrient deficiencies going on. There's lots of things that can cause some negative feedback from these things. And if you have your blood chemistry, 1, you know you're safe to be on it. And then 2, if things start to go sideways, you have something you can reference to be like, oh, it's my thyroid. I got to support my thyroid, as an example. So I like to run labs before you start. Ones I recommend, again, are on this guide: CBC, CMP, lipid panel, A1C, fasting insulin, a full thyroid panel, vitamin D, B12, ferritin, magnesium are all really important ones to run before you do a GLP. I also like to get a baseline on the body, meaning a body composition scan. I like the DEXA scan, DEXA. You can typically find one for $100 to $200 in most cities. If you don't have that, take your scale weight and take your measurements, like at the belly button, at the hips, each thigh, around the chest, and each arm, and then track those measurements over time to make sure that we're getting good response. I prefer, again, the DEXA scan because it gives us a really clear picture of your muscle mass, your body fat, where it's all stored. And as the weight loss is coming off, we can periodically check that DEXA scan to make sure that you are not losing muscle, you're losing body fat. Again, I don't think most people jump on these things wanting to lose a bunch of muscle because it's pretty clear and most people understand now that muscle is really important. We're hoping it's fat. But just because the scale weight is going down doesn't mean it's just fat coming off. So we like to DEXA scan to periodically check to make sure that the route we're on is working and we're losing primarily body fat and doing our best to maintain the muscle mass. I also like a baseline of strength. Pick a couple lifts, ones you're very comfortable with. Typically we like to do like a squat pattern, a press pattern, a hinge, and a pull pattern. Again, if you haven't ever done deadlifts or something before, don't go do a deadlift. Just pick 3 or 4 lifts you're comfortable with, warm up with it really well, and just get a baseline. Do 3 to 5 reps with the weight that is challenging and record that. And then periodically we want to recheck it. Do the press pattern again. Okay, last time I did 100 pounds for 5. If all of a sudden you can only get 80 pounds for 5, or you go back to the 100 pounds, you get stuck at 1, that's a sign that we're losing muscle mass and strength could be deficient. So it's really nice to have the DEXA scan and then a couple of lifts. Don't do a 1 rep max. That's super dangerous. Pick a weight, do it 5 times, kind of find a challenging load that you can do 5 times, record that, and then just every 3 months, check it to make sure that you're not losing muscle mass and losing strength. And then I think before you start, set a target weight and a target body fat percentage. So if you have your DEXA scan, you know what your body fat percentage is when you start and your weight. Set a goal weight. And then give yourself 6 months to a year to get to that goal weight. Avoid the strategies where it's loading yourself up with a ton of GLP to where you're nauseous, you can't eat, you feel horrible, and you lose weight really fast. I like 6 months to a year, okay? If it's 20, 30 pounds, make it 6 months. If it's more than 30 pounds, give yourself a year so you can slowly titrate over time and get the most benefit of this without losing muscle mass as much as possible. Pillar number 2, training. This is non-negotiable if you're going to be on a GLP. You have got to lift weights and challenge your muscles to keep your muscles, okay? Without resistance training, roughly 25 to 40% of every pound you lose on a GLP is muscle, not fat. Sit on that number. That muscle is what keeps your metabolism up, your strength intact, and your body looking like one you want to live in. Resistance training is how you fight this. It's not optional. This is the pillar that people like to skip, and then they regret skipping it. If you are not constantly challenging the body to maintain the muscle mass, you're going to have some trouble with it. So minimum effective dose, I like 3 full body strength sessions a week, 30 to 45 minutes. I'll even take 2, but goal should be 3 full body strength training sessions a week, 30 to 45 minutes each workout. And use real weights, not 2-pound dumbbells, not 5-pound dumbbells. I mean, some exercises you can use 5-pound dumbbells for, but challenge yourself with weight, okay? What I like are 2 compound lifts per session. So example, a chest press and a pull down. Those are big multi-joint movements. A squat and a hip thrust. For example, those are 2 compound movements. Compound movements mean multi-joints are involved. And then I like 2 to 4 supportive lifts. So an example workout would be squats. And we want to do 3 to 4 sets of 6 to 12 reps at a challenging weight. So let's say you start off, exercise 1 is squats. When I have my clients squat, I like them to just do their squat exercises first. So they go 3 to 4 sets of squats, anywhere from 6 to 12 reps. And then from there, I like to go into supersets. So for example, it's a full body workout. So we just did squats. B grouping could be a lying hamstring curl, 3 to 4 sets, 6 to 12 reps, supersetted with a bench press or a dumbbell chest press. Again, 3 to 4 sets, 6 to 12 reps, and do 3 to 4 sets of that superset. And then the next grouping, the C grouping, could be a leg press and a pull down. Okay, again, 3 to 4 sets, 6 to 12 reps. Go back and forth on those for your 3 or 4 sets. And then you could finish off with, let's say, an abdominal crunch and a tricep press down. That would be an example of a great full body strength workout to help target muscle mass, to maintain it, and to get a good workout in. And I know you guys hear about this all the time, progressive overload. We just did a show not long ago talking a little deeper into progressive overload. But you want to make sure that you're adding weight, reps, sets, things like that periodically. So you're progressively getting more volume or more weight load being used. Just something to challenge the body. If you do the same workout with the same weight, 3 times in a row, you get 0 response from it. So you want to make sure that you're progressing. And then try to walk 8 to 10,000 steps a day. This burns calories. And the other thing I really like about it helps with digestion. This can be a real issue on GLPs. So if you struggle with any type of digestive issues on a GLP, getting in those walks really help. The thing I like about walking is it doesn't tax your recovery, okay? When you're on a GLP, you tend to eat less food. So there's less to use for recovery when you're working out. So what we don't want to do is we don't want to fry yourself. We don't want to do too much activity, too much high-intense activity. We want to lift and we want to walk, okay? Because that helps with the muscle mass stimulation, and then the walking helps with the recovery and burning extra calories. What we want to drop long draining cardio. And we want to reduce HIIT training to 1 or 2 times a week. I prefer my clients that they just have to do a HIIT workout 1 time a week on a GLP. When you look at the research on HIIT style workouts, they're very hard to recover from. So if you're eating less, we don't want to spend the recovery you don't have to try to survive these high intensity types of workouts. Pillar 3, nutrition. You have to eat with intention if you're on a GLP. Okay, one of the benefits of a GLP is it curbs cravings and it reduces appetite. If you are on a higher dose of a GLP, there's a lot of appetite suppression, and it's really hard to eat when you're on them, okay? So GLP-1s shrink your appetite. That's great. Until you realize they also shrink your ability to hit the numbers that protect your muscle, your skin, your hair, and your energy. You have to eat with intention, not to hunger. So first off, protein first. Every meal, every day. For most people, the research shows that's 1.6 to 2.2 grams of protein per kilogram. Now, to make it easy, we hear 1 gram per pound of your goal body weight. So if you're 180 and your goal is to be 160, you'd want to try to hit 160 grams of protein every day. High protein plus lifting weights equals less risk of muscle loss. That risk drops dramatically. Low protein equals muscle loss acceleration. So protein is vitally important, and you want to distribute it. You want 20 to 40 grams per meal, 3 to 4 meals a day. One big steak dinner at night doesn't trigger muscle protein synthesis the same way as if you spread it out throughout the day, okay? So you want 3 or 4 meals a day that has protein as the base of each one of those meals, not one big meal at the end of the day thinking you've done your job. And then food hierarchy. We want protein first, fiber and vegetables second, then quality carbohydrates and fats, okay? So if you're full after you've eaten your protein and your veggies and a few bites of rice, that's fine. You got the important stuff in to preserve the muscle mass. I want to caveat this and say don't cut your fats too low because loss of appetite, loss of fat intake can have a negative effect on your sex hormones. So make sure you're getting some carbs or some fats in every meal to help with energy substrates and hormones, okay? But your goal is eat all your protein first and then the other stuff on your plate, okay? Hydration, super critical if you're on a GLP because there are going to be dehydration issues. A lot of the I feel terrible feelings from GLP-1s is due to dehydration. So shoot for half your body weight in ounces of water at minimum. So if you're 180 pounds, you have to minimally drink 90 ounces of water a day to help fight this. We also need to make sure you're getting electrolytes in daily, sodium, potassium, and magnesium. So a pinch of sea salt in the morning water, it's a cheap version, easy way to do it. Maybe put a pinch of sea salt in a few drinks throughout the day. Or you can go something like LMNT or Relight as the easy version. You just put that in your first morning water. You got to make sure you have plenty of electrolytes to stay hydrated. And when you're on a low-calorie diet or you're not eating as much and the body is causing itself to lose water, we have to address that to make sure that you stay hydrated. And the things you want to limit, greasy, heavy meals. These sit for hours and can be a big trigger for nausea in people on a GLP. Get rid of ultra-processed snacks. They steal appetite real estate. We need your appetite to be focused on the protein and the good stuff. Ultra-processed snacks will give you a fake feeling of being full and limit your ability to eat the important stuff. And then alcohol, we want to limit that as well. I'm going to get more into that a little later in the show. All right, pillar 4, supplements. This is a short list. Most supplement advice for GLP-1 users reads like a sales catalog, and this just isn't that. These are 6 things that you should be on and then what you want to skip. So first off, I think creatine monohydrate, 5 to 10 grams daily, depending on your size. There's decades of evidence that strength, lean muscle mass is very huge in regards to the benefit from creatine. They help with the strength, they help with the muscle mass. There also is now new research showing that it helps with brain function. So 5 to 10 grams daily. Again, the evidence behind creatine monohydrate, especially when you're in a food deficit, is really important and really beneficial. Whey or grass-fed protein as needed. This is a tool to hit your number. 1 scoop of whey protein usually equals 25 grams. If you can't do dairy, find a dairy-free alternative. But a protein powder makes it a little easier to get extra protein in when you are in a appetite-suppressed state. Electrolytes daily, we talked about this. So we're looking at 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 to 500 milligrams of potassium, and 100 to 300 grams of magnesium. Again, something like LMNT or that Relight will give you that, but that helps with hydration. I'm a big fan of magnesium glycinate. You've heard me talk about this a lot on the show. 200 to 400 milligrams at night before bed. Improves sleep. Helps with constipation. If you're dealing with a lot of constipation, magnesium citrate would be the better option. Again, constipation can be an issue on GLP-1s. And most people are low in magnesium, okay? So we want to make sure that we're keeping that intact. I like vitamin D3 with K2 and doses based off your labs. If you have high vitamin D2, don't take as much. Stick around the 5,000 IU. If it's really low, you may need to increase your D3 intake and make sure you have D3 and K2 to help with vitamin D levels. And then fish oil, 2 to 3 grams of EPA and DHA a day. This helps with recovery, helps with inflammation, and can help improve cardiovascular markers, okay? So if your cardiovascular markers are off a little bit or in a negative state, daily fish oil can really help balance those out. And then if you need it, fiber. If you're dealing with constipation, you're not getting enough vegetables and fruits in, throw some fiber in as well to help with the constipation. Constipation is something that's not fun to deal with. Here's the ones I want you to skip. Fat burners. These just turn you into a train wreck. They make you all jittery. They fry your adrenals. No place for fat burners. You do not need extra fat burning support when you're on a GLP. Natural GLP-1 supplements. There's a lot of pills out there now that say that they're a GLP supplement. A prescription GLP-1 is in a vastly different universe than a capsule of a GLP. So save your money on those. Use the real thing if you want to go on a GLP. There's now a lot of multi-ingredient GLP-1 support stacks. You don't need 12 different things, okay? You need the 6 that I went over, the creatine monohydrate, the whey protein, the electrolytes, the magnesium, the vitamin D3 and K2, and fish oil. Those are the 6 foundational supplements you really need to help support your journey on a GLP. Exact doses for all 6 are in the guide, so you don't have to scribble this down. It's in the show notes. If you want to download the whole guide, it's going to be there in the show notes. Pillar 5, lifestyle. This, I believe, lifestyle is the multiplier. Lifestyle habits can dramatically improve the results you get on a GLP. You can do the training right, you can do the nutrition right, you can do the supplements right, and still wreck your results with your lifestyle. Again, it is the multiplier for better or for worse. So I hope you choose for better. First off, the most important, you got to be sleeping 7 to 9 hours a night. That is a hard floor. Under 7, you got to fix it. Before you do anything else, fix your sleep before you try to optimize anything else. Poor sleep raises cortisol, blunts muscle, and spikes cravings. We'll do the exact opposite of what you're trying to do by going on a GLP. So you got to sleep 7 to 9 hours a night. Stress is another really big one. Chronic cortisol makes fat harder to lose and muscle harder to keep. It puts you in what's called the catabolic state. You are burning muscle tissue faster when you're in a high-stressed environment. Now, you don't need to become a meditation expert or anything like that. If you love to meditate, great, add that in. But one 10-minute daily decompression is enough to really help with this. So take a 10-minute nap, go for a 10-minute walk, meditate for 10 minutes. Sit in the corner and breathe for 10 minutes. Just something that shuts off the stress response in your body, even if it's just 10 minutes a day, is a really powerful tool to use to help keep your stress in check. Morning sunlight and an outdoor walk. These anchor your circadian rhythm. It helps with your sleep. It helps everything. If you can get up in the morning and get outside for a quick walk in the sun, looking at the sun a little bit, really, really helps with circadian rhythm setup. You'll have more energy during the day. You'll sleep better at night. And walking literally kills 2 birds with 1 stone. It suppresses cortisol, so it brings your stress hormones down. Actually, it does 3 things if you do it in the morning outside. Brings your stress hormones down, makes you more insulin sensitive, and sets a healthy circadian rhythm cycle. So you will be less stressed throughout the day. The last thing in lifestyle I want to touch on is the one everyone asks about and everyone's concerned about, and that's alcohol. What's nice about GLPs, especially tirzepatide and retatrutide, it blunts your cravings for alcohol. It's pretty nice. So you're just going to naturally drink less anyways. Here's the thing with alcohol. It wrecks sleep. It blunts muscle protein synthesis for up to 24 hours. That is the thing we need to help adapt to your training. So if you're training hard and drinking lots of alcohol, you are blunting the body's ability to kick back into protein synthesis, okay? So let's see. Oh, it also dehydrates you, right? So you have a GLP that's dehydrating you, you have alcohol that dehydrates you, makes things even tougher on the GLP-1. So you don't have to quit, but you want to limit it. So for example, if you're at 5 to 10 drinks a week, cut it in half. That could be the easiest thing to do to really help improve your results from a GLP. And whenever I talk about alcohol, less is always more. So the less you can drink, the more beneficial it's going to be. Alcohol does nothing but harm the process. It does nothing to aid the process. So just be smart and intelligent with it when you use it. I want to go over side effects. There's going to be a quick review of side effects, but within the guidebook, we have majority of the side effects that we know of, that we've seen, and best solutions for those side effects. So, for example, nausea. This is a very common one, especially early on a GLP. So smaller meals more often will help. Don't drink fluids with your meals. That'll help. You can use ginger to help. Skip greasy food on or around injection day. So if you're going to have that one cheat meal, you want it away from injection day. So the day of injection day or the day after are typically the two rougher days for most people. So have it day 3 or day 4 after the injection if you have to have it. Constipation is another common one that we deal with. 25 to 35 grams of fiber really helps. Make sure you're hitting your water minimums. And then magnesium at night really helps with that. If constipation is really bad, magnesium citrate is the best form of magnesium for that. And use walking to your advantage. I can't tell you how powerful walking is, especially after you eat a meal, to help improve digestion on a GLP. If you have low energy, make sure you get enough electrolytes. Check electrolytes first. If any one of those three, sodium, potassium, or magnesium are getting low, that's going to affect your energy. Very common thing that I see. Then check your protein. Make sure you're getting enough protein. So often, not getting enough protein leads to fatigue, and just eating more protein can really help with that. And then sleep. Make sure your sleep is dialed in. And I would do it in that order. Check electrolytes first. Try to have a little more electrolytes. If that's not helping, really focus on your protein. Make sure you're getting enough protein. You're doing that and it's still not good, check your sleep and get that in place, okay? Now, I want to be very clear on something. Loss of appetite is not permission to skip meals. That's exactly how you lose muscle. Not hungry still means hit your protein goals. And there's going to be days you're going to have to force yourself to eat protein to make sure you're protecting your muscle. Some other things we see, hair shedding, skin issues, low mood. These almost always are due to rapid loss outpacing nutrition, low protein, or micronutrient gap. Again, this is why we like to recommend people get their labs, so we can see they start having these issues of hair loss, skin issues, low mood, low desire, low drive. We can rerun labs to see what could be causing that and fix it. So I always think numbers, not vibes, are the much better way to go about it. And then lastly, I want to talk about the exit plan. This is the plan, the part of the plan that most people skip or don't think about until it's on them. And then they panic. So make sure you read this part of the guide, even if you've just started, because I believe the exit plan starts on day 1, not month 12. So here's the thing that no one really wants to say out loud. From the studies, the Step 1 extension study, when people stopped semaglutide, about 2/3 of the lost weight was back within a year. When you stop tirzepatide, according to the SURMOUNT-4, about 14% of body weight regained in 12 months after stopping. That was from the SURMOUNT-4 study. So broadly, about 0.8 kilograms come back per month on average. Most people return to the starting weight within 18 months of coming off of the GLP-1. The medication does the work while you're on it. When you stop, the appetite is going to come back. If you haven't built the habits, the muscle, and the metabolic floor underneath the weight loss, the body's going to go back to what it was. It's going to return the way you were living your life prior to the GLP. If you don't change anything, when you come off the GLP, if you keep that same lifestyle, it's going to go back to what it created with that lifestyle. So while you're on the GLP, it is really important that these pillars are put into place and become your new lifestyle. So that when you come off properly, everything's in place to maintain. You have a new lifestyle to protect the new you. So exit done right. This is what it looks like. Don't cliff. You want to taper off with your prescriber. Slower taper equals a smaller rebound. So you want to titrate down over time and allow your body to get used to a little more hunger, a little more hunger, a little more hunger. And you have the lifestyle in place that supports that. It's a much easier transition if you taper off it over a period of time versus just stopping cold turkey. If you install the habits while you're on the meds, while they're doing the heavy lifting, the 6 to 12 months of consistent lifting, protein, steps, sleep, those will continue on with you. Again, you have a new lifestyle to support the new you. Okay? If your old lifestyle created what you didn't like, you go on the GLP and it gets you to what you like, but you didn't change the lifestyle. As soon as you come off of that same lifestyle, you're going to go back to how you looked following that lifestyle. But if that lifestyle changes as you're on the GLP, as you taper off, you now have the new lifestyle to support the new you. And again, we want to eat to maintenance, not to surplus when you start to taper off. What that means, the amount of food you needed at 180 pounds is going to be different at 160 pounds. So you have to adjust for that, okay? So your calories are going to have less of a need at 160 pounds versus at 180 pounds. So you always want to make sure that you recalculate to make sure what maintenance looks like at 160 pounds versus at 180 pounds. Okay? So again, new you, new strategies have to be built in and in place to maintain where you're at. If at 160 pounds you go back to eating the same levels of food you ate at 180 pounds, that's considered a surplus. You're going to go back to the 180 pounds. Another thing you can do while you're tapering is add another training stimulus. Doesn't have to be a lot, okay? What you don't want to do is you don't want to start tapering off and then start training less. So let's say you're doing your 3 days a week of lifting and you're walking every day, and as you're tapering down, now you maybe want to add in a HIIT class or something like that. Just another option that adds a little more of a caloric burn as you're coming off. Again, your muscle is your insurance against regaining the weight. I think you should retest labs every 3 to 6 months after stopping. Watch for a thyroid drift, insulin creep, your lipid panel. These things will all tell you if the way you're doing things in your new lifestyle are supporting your health or offending your health. And then know your if-then. If your weight is up more than 5 to 7% above your floor for 60 to 90 days with habits dialed, that's the signal to talk to your provider. You need a plan, not a guess. So, if your weight is up more than 5 to 7% above where your weight was when you exited, and it stays there for 60 to 90 days with the new habits in place, that's when you want to talk to your provider. Go look at your labs, reassess, and create another plan. Don't take a guess, okay? So if you take nothing else from this episode, do these 8 things in the next 30 days, and then walk the checklist fast. So order a lab panel. And again, on the guide, I gave you the labs I like to see. Get a DEXA scan. You need to know where you're at so you can track and watch, am I losing muscle mass? Am I losing body fat? What's going on with the scale loss? Again, pick a couple lifts and do, a challenging 5 reps with it so you have some strength numbers in place. Calculate your protein intake. Again, go with 1 gram per pound of goal body weight. And then once you start the GLP, you got to hit that every day. It's really important. Set up a daily electrolyte routine. I keep mine really easy. I do it first big bottle of water in the morning. I put my electrolytes in that, and that's how I get my electrolytes. That way I never forget. It's right there next to my morning water. Build a 10,000 step day habit and do the first walk, if you can, outside in the sunlight, okay? So your goal is try to hit 10,000 steps a day to aid in the caloric burn, but also to protect your stress hormones and your insulin, okay? And it won't overstress the system, so it aids in recovery versus taking away from it. And then come up with an exit plan now. Okay? That means, what's my goal number? Once I hit that number, that's the number I'm going to begin my exit plan. What I see is people get to that number and like, oh, well, maybe I could just go 10 more pounds or maybe 5 more pounds. No, set the target number. And when you hit that number, exit off. Okay? Another 5 pounds, another 10 pounds. You're never going to hit a point where like, oh, I finally made it. I'm super happy with this number. I've never seen that. I see people just continually push it. And eventually they get to a point where now they're too skinny. They're a little more brittle. They couldn't fight off the muscle mass. It was just too much, okay? So find your goal weight. And once you hit that, what's your exit plan? Meaning how you're going to titrate off. Have all that stuff in detail. Talk to your provider. Okay, once I hit this goal weight of, I'm 180, once I hit 160, what is my exit plan to titrate off? What's that going to look like? I want that in place now so I know when I get there what I'm doing, okay? So here's the honest version. If you're the kind of person who can't take a guide like this, get the labs, build the training, hold the protein. If you're the kind of person who can take a guide like this, get the labs, build the training, hold the protein target for a year, this will help you a lot. Go run with it. Like, I mean that. Like, if you add this plan with your GLP, the results are going to be staggering. I can tell you how many clients I have that have lost 20 to 40 pounds over a 6 to 8 month period of time, but look incredibly strong. They don't have all the negative side effects. They don't have that skinny, brittle look. They look strong, but they're very lean. It's awesome, okay? Now, if you've tried it before and you see it not working, or you want labs actually interpreted, a program built for your body, and an exit plan written for your situation, that's something we can help you out with. So if you're in that state where you want some support, my team can help you with that. One of the things we're great at is coaching along these things. We can help you with the training. We can help you with the nutrition. We can help you with the supplements, the lifestyle. We can help keep you accountable to that. So if you're somebody that needs extra support, please just send me an email and we can talk about it to make sure that you're set up for success, okay? And then, in all honesty, the 3 things I see people typically skip the most, because they take some time, is getting the labs, okay? They skip the labs. 2, when it comes to training, they don't really have a plan in place. They just go and kind of work out. And I wish it was that easy to do, but you need to make sure you have a workout plan in place. And that's going to take a little time to figure out to make sure you got it right. You may have to hire somebody to help you build it out. You may have to find a good weightlifting class. There's lots of options out there, but take a little time to build that out. Don't let that one just kind of, I'm going to go to the gym today and do something. You have to train with intention. And then 3, they don't go into these things with an exit plan, or while they're on it, they never pay attention to the exit plan until they get to that point and then they freak out. So have your exit plan in place, okay? So anyway, go to the show notes, grab the guide, has everything you need in that thing. I promise you it'll be your best friend on your journey for GLPs. It'll take all the confusion out of play, and it'll help you hit your target, reach your goal, with majority of the weight loss you lose being body fat, not majority of it being muscle, okay? So I hope that helps. Thank you for the time. Hopefully Raquel will be back next week. I think she's getting better. Definitely missed her today, but there you have it. GLPs, nice support system. Just go to the show notes, download the guide. You're all dialed in.